Hello, welcome to this week's Forex Outlook here at xm.com. I'm Rafi Bajan, currency analyst, and here with me is our chief economist, Michalis Florentiadis. So, Michalis, we saw fears about a trade war once again resurfacing. We're seeing an escalation of tensions between the US and China with regards to trade policy. Despite that, though, we saw the dollar climbing to near one-year highs against a basket of currencies. So what's happening on the trade front, and why is the dollar not being negatively impacted?
Yes, it's interesting to note that the US dollar is being seen as a bit of a safe haven from these trade wars. This may sound paradoxical because the US is in the center of all these fights about trade. But what seems to be happening is that the US economy, because although it is a large economy, it is largely a domestic economy. So its links with the outside world do not matter as much as those of other economies. So other economies are much more open. This is seen as protecting the US economy from substantial damage in the trade wars. However, I would note that we are getting some chinks in the U.S. armor, in the sense that we are seeing we saw the Philly Fed index falling quite sharply. So maybe business confidence is being hurt in the U.S. as well, and we saw more or less almost a coordinated response from various other trade partners of the U.S., not only the G7 partners like the EU and Canada and Mexico, but also countries like India and Turkey fighting back with tariffs on US goods. So this is a fight that may start to impact the US as well. Although at the end of the day, what matters is also what the Fed President Powell said, that he sees that we are still on a course for higher rates in the United States.
Now, and we also heard from Mario Draghi, who reiterated his dovish stance. We saw the euro falling before rebounding again, and we also saw a strong rebound for the UK pound too. We had a Bank of England policy meeting. What was the outcome of the meeting?
Yes, it was a choppy week for the pound. It started quite weak in the course of the first few days of the week. But what happened was that Prime Minister May won another victory in Parliament, so she was not challenged as was feared by a rebellion. And also we had the Bank of England giving some hawkish message, because we had also the bank's chief economists joining the hawks in voting for a rate rise. So actually 3 members voting for a rise and 6 voting for steady rates. So this may might be a signal that in August we could have an increase in rates after all, in UK rates, and the bank also sounded relatively upbeat. So all those losses of the pound during the first few days of the week, it made up and is trading more or less flat against the US dollar at least. So this is why I'm talking about a choppy week. So with this framework, frame of mind, where are we heading next week? What should we keep an eye on?
Well, sticking to the pound, we do have that EU summit next week where Brexit will be top of the agenda, although there are some reports that migration issues could dominate the summit next week. But nevertheless, Brexit we're going to continue to see more headlines with regards to Brexit next week. If we do see no progress being made in those talks, that would obviously be a negative impact on sterling as we get even closer to the exit date when the UK will leave the EU. That's less than a year away now. In terms of central bank meetings, we're just going to have the Reserve Bank of New Zealand policy meeting coming up. We did have this week slightly soft GDP numbers. We could perhaps see a more dovish RBNZ next week. We're going to have a batch of Japanese data, including unemployment rate, industrial production, and retail sales. We're also going to have the Bank of Japan's summary of opinions of the June policy meeting. And for the euro, we're going to have the flash inflation numbers for June. That's going to be watched, especially after the ECB announced its stimulus withdrawal. We're also going to have some German survey numbers, the IFO Business Climate Index, which is closely watched. And out of the US, we're going to have durable goods orders and the PCE inflation, which of course is what the Fed watches with regards to targeting inflation.
So all those things, plus I would say the market is going to get a chance to react more fully to any OPEC output announcement that we are getting later on today, as well as the Turkish elections and their aftermath. They could be important for the Turkish lira. Definitely a few other things to watch, as well as any announcements about the trade and measures and countermeasures. Well, thank you very much, Rafi. Thank you everyone for watching and have a great day.